This podcast is meant to make you fall in love with the ocean, but we have to discuss the uncomfortable topics as well.
Over 90% of the predator fish have been slaughtered. We're killing over 100,000 sharks each day. The coral reefs are being destroyed.
Massive industrial trawlers with nets large enough to hold several 747 airplanes are emptying our oceans, killing and throwing out unwanted fish as trash. All this rattled today's guest, Danny Quintana.
And then it's like something grabbed me from the back of my hair and said, "You've got to do something about this." And I thought, well, I am older, so why don't I just create a nonprofit and advocate protecting 100% of the oceans?
That's a big goal. So big that when I first heard about it, I thought he can't be serious. He is. And I have to warn you, Danny is a lawyer. This background informs his strategy. But let me not give it all away already. Just know, lawyers know the right buttons to push. This is Where the Ocean Meets Danny Quintana.
Where the Ocean Meets.
Thank you so much for, first of all, reaching out. This is my first inbound conversation on the podcast so far. I always had to reach out, so I see this as something absolutely positive, that this came on your desk and that you think this is a good format to talk about your needs. So maybe you can quickly introduce first yourself and tell us a bit about what you do.
Well, I'm an attorney by trade and I write books. And one of the books I wrote is Space and Ocean Exploration as the Alternative to the Military-Industrial Complex. And when I was doing the research on that book, I was absolutely aghast at what is going on with the oceans. You know, it's like half the wildlife is gone. What? Over 90% of the predator fish have been slaughtered. What? We're killing over 100,000 sharks each day. What? The coral reefs are being destroyed. And then it's like something grabbed me from the back of my hair and said, "You've got to do something about this." And I thought, well, I am older, so why don't I just create a nonprofit and advocate protecting 100% of the oceans? And that's where the idea of the Global High Seas Marine Preserve was born. So what our idea is, let's turn the entire ocean into a marine park for the protection of all the wildlife and for the preservation for humanity forever. So it would be a nature preserve. Obviously, you're still going to have international trade and all the rest because we depend on the oceans for international trade and certainly for the fisheries, because about 3 billion people depend on the fisheries for protein. And we have to protect the oceans. This is something that is imperative. What we are proposing now is a 5-year moratorium on all industrial commercial fishing. And this fits in with the BBNJ Treaty that was just recently signed in January, where 30% of the oceans are going to be protected.
Can I quickly ask what the BBNJ is for somebody that never heard these 4 letters before?
That's the biological beyond national jurisdiction. And it's a treaty that basically will create a wildlife zone and protect 30% of the oceans. And it took years of negotiating. It amends existing international law with the Law of the Seas Treaty that was negotiated in 1982. But the problem that we have is law has not kept up with technological change. And so the treaty's got 2 major holes in it. One is the tragedy of the commons. And the tragedy of commons is if no one owns a resource, everyone owns it. So there's the race to cut down the last tree to catch the last fish. And the problem with the global fisheries is they're not under international law jurisdiction where, like, they're the property of the United Nations, which would be ideal, by the way, where nations would have to get licenses from the UN in order to fish. So in the 1950s, we started with industrial trawlers, and that's where the problem really started to begin. Because prior to that time, people would just go out fishing and line on a pole, you'd catch what you need, and that would be it. But today, we're not fishing, we're emptying the oceans. Those nets are so big they can hold 747s. They have long lines that go out 40 and 50 miles.
747s, the play
Oh,
on
the-
jumbo jet.
Yeah, they're huge nets, and what they do is they catch all of the fish, including not the targeted species, so you get a lot of bycatch, and the bycatch is just simply thrown out and destroyed. So it's shameful the way that's done. It needs to stop. We need to just end industrial commercial fishing, because when you're emptying the oceans, what you're doing is you're destroying the protein source for millions of people. And if you think we got immigration problems now, wait till over 3 billion people don't have access to protein, because the majority of the planet lives within 50 miles of the oceans. And the oceans provide virtually everything for the planet, including the oxygen that we breathe. It's a carbon sink. And it's something that if we treat the oceans with respect, if the oceans live, we live.
Yeah.
If the oceans die, humans die.
Yeah. The planet will prevail, but without us. That's pretty clear. Something will be rebuilt once we are gone. It'll take a couple million years probably, but we won't see it.
Well, and that can be prevented if we go with the global high seas marine preserve where we protect 100% of the oceans. Then what will happen is, to fix the land areas, we just get people to change their diet so that we quit growing soy and palm oil and cutting down the rainforest, because the majority of the soy is grown to feed cattle, pigs, and chickens. And, so you're getting secondhand protein, but we're cutting down the rainforest to do it. So basically, we're destroying the lungs of the planet. And that can stop by just changing the diet. The rest of it is...
Yeah, but you say just changing the diet. That is a pretty significant thing, right? That could only happen through regulation, because people won't, or let's say 8 billion people won't change their diet from one day to another. Is this where your training as an attorney comes in, where you try to influence legislation? Or how do you want this to go down?
Well, we've started a law school internship program with the University of Hawaii, and we're going to expand that. We want to create an army of young attorneys and educating them on marine law and, obviously on all these environmental issues. Because I've pretty well given up on the present crop of politicians. My idea of an honest politician is a politician that when they're bought, they stay bought. And since the fisheries, the whales, the marine life don't contribute to the campaigns of politicians, they don't get the kind of protection that they need. So that's where it's up to us. But getting people to change their diet, we have to inspire them, because you can't force people to do something. You have to educate them and show them that there are alternatives. Because fish as a food choice is recent. Most people did not eat fish. They ate from the local farms that they produced, with subsistence farms where they grew it themselves. And this really push for fish diets is about 70 years old. It's not that old. And, my grandparents never ate fish. They lived on a farm in New Mexico, and they were far from the ocean. So, they had deer meat, elk, pigs for their meat, and, they grew their own crops. So we encourage people to just eat locally and eat sustainably.
It's also an acquired taste, right? It's like as a child, I hated fish. And my daughter hates fish. Like if I just put it near her, she will spit it out, and she's only 2 years old. So you almost have to train yourself to like it, or some people do.
You are a fortunate man. If man wants happiness, just hang out with a bunch of 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds. Because the only thing they know is they're happy. They don't care about the politics of the day or anything else. They just want attention and to play.
Yeah.
And it's their future that we're working to protect. And, I think that we can turn all of this around. I know that I'm the eternal optimist, but I think we can clean the rivers that go into the oceans and stop the garbage that's going in. There's 5 nations that are responsible for the majority of the trash that goes into the oceans. And I think that the developed world can help those nations with clean water systems and with waste management. The problem that we have is consumerism. We're pitching all of these products to the developed world, and all of these products have plastic containers, but those countries are not built, they don't have the waste management systems to handle it. And even if you do recover the plastics, there's this myth of recycling. The reality is very little plastic is recycled. What we need to do is just stop producing it and harvest the plastic that's already out there and just reuse it. I think that would be a better solution.
Coming back to your work, so there's these 2 massive issues with the High Seas Treaty that you see, and how do you plan to fix that? Sorry, I interrupted you with we need to just change the diet of the people.
Well, the way we're going to have to change it is just law school by law school, city by city, and educating politicians on the necessity. And I think the best way to do it is what we're proposing right now, which is a 5-year moratorium on industrial commercial fishing. Let's just take a break. Let's just stop industrial commercial fishing just for 5 years, because the fisheries, the forage fish, the prey, the krill, herring, anchovies, those reproduce in a hurry, and they can reproduce several times a year. I don't know whether they're Catholic, Mormon, or Muslim, but they reproduce in a hurry, and if we leave them alone, we will get lots of them because they produce by the tens of thousands. And as the forage fish comes back, that will enable the large predators to come back, because the predators take a long time to reproduce. And we're seeing the effects of this all over the world. We just can't keep killing 100,000 sharks each day for shark fin soup. So a 5-year moratorium on industrial commercial fishing, on dumping garbage into the oceans and taking the time to just clean it up. See, because there is one common political issue that all of us can agree on, and that's the environment. It doesn't matter whether you're Iranian, Israeli, Ukrainian, Russian, North or South Sudanese. The one thing everyone can agree on is that we have to have a pristine environment so that not only humanity can survive, but also that the wildlife can survive. So I think that's one area where we can all work together. And that's what we try to do, is we try to educate people and tell them, look, the situation is just absolutely not hopeless. It just requires a change in thinking, because ultimately what we're usually dealing with are ideas. Law is an idea. Nation states are an idea. And a 5-year moratorium where we stop these trawlers from going out there and emptying the oceans. Okay, it's an idea, but it's an idea that needs to come about right now. It's a policy change, and working to get all of these nations on the same page is basically, it's not a Herculean task, but it's something that as the idea goes forward, and I want all of you out there that are listening to this podcast to share this idea. Go to our website, savingoceans.org. It has all the information on the 5-year moratorium, and just like and share our website, and talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to everyone, and explain to everyone, look, let's just stop industrial commercial fishing for 5 years so the fisheries can recover and so that we can clean up the oceans. I mean, what you guys are doing is amazing, because that's the grassroots work that has to be done at the ground level in order to make this successful. We have to use every crisis as an opportunity for change. And the crisis we have now is the garbage that's being dumped into the oceans and the fisheries being fished to extinction and the sharks being slaughtered. So we turn this around. You can go with ecotourism. There's a whole host of other things that can be done that do not involve slaughtering the wildlife in the oceans.
I have one question to you, and I fully agree with you that if you ask every person individually, would you prefer to live on a clean planet, on a thriving planet, on a healthy planet? Everybody would agree individually. The moment we turn up as a group of people, as a lobby, as an industry, interests change. As soon as we feed it in our wallet, interests change. How do you deal with that?
Well, that's where the consumer has all the power. Ultimately, all of you out there are in charge because you have the power of your wallet. You can choose not to buy fish from other countries. There's no reason to be buying orange roughage, which used to be called Patagonian toothfish, that takes a long time to reproduce from Chile. If you live in Chile, eat the fish that are close to your shore. If you live in Peru, eat those. I mean, some of the things that we do are just so destructive. We take anchovies from Peru and feed them to the salmon farms in Canada and in other places. So you're ending up destroying two fisheries because those salmon farms are toxic and they contaminate the wild stocks and they weaken them. How do we do this? You do this. Every one of you out there has the responsibility for your diet. And if you have a healthy diet, you'll have a healthy planet.
Mm. And your proposal is this 5-year moratorium. How do you go about this day to day to make this a reality?
Oh, I send out this policy proposal to every environmental group, yeah, to every environmental organization that we encounter and that we find online. And we just keep sharing the idea. And that's what I'm asking all of you to do. Because what you have to do with an idea in the free marketplace of thought, good ideas will shine over the bad ideas. Liberty and freedom will shine over totalitarian states. Because we live in the world of ideas. We live in the world of fictions. There are no nations. There are no religions. There's basically a small species on a small planet in a small solar system at the edge of a massive galaxy. So if we can convince people that, look, the idea is let's protect the fisheries, and the best way to protect them immediately is with a 5-year moratorium. And as all of you share that idea, the idea will catch fire, and soon policymakers will go, well, wait a second. If we want to stop the immigration crisis, if we want to end the possibility that the fisheries will collapse, let's go with this idea. You need to get change at the international level. You have to have millions of people on board with the same idea. At the turn of the last century, the whales were nearing extinction, and whaling commissions came forward and passed regulations on whaling. And that's what stopped the whales from becoming extinct. The buffalo herds in the United States were down to about 560 because they had literally just been slaughtered almost to the point of extinction. A couple of families saved those herds and started breeding them, and today there's about 2 million buffalo. At the time my Spanish ancestors were in North America exploring, there were millions of buffalo. They would go from the sunrise to the sunset. So in order for us to save the fisheries and to clean up the planet, let's just share the idea of, all right, let's do a 5-year moratorium. And while we have this moratorium, let's clean up the oceans. And that's where wonderful organizations like you will really, really make a huge difference. The difference that is made in this world is made by the person in the mirror. It's the strength of millions of people with large numbers that choose with their wallet to shop carefully. The things you can do is support your local farmers. We don't need to have these massive mega farms. Grow your own vegetables. That's a really good thing that all of us can do. We live in the desert here in Utah, and what I've done is I xeriscaped my yard about 25 years ago, and so I grow grapes in my front yard, and I grow vegetables in my backyard, and then I have this huge koi pond, and it uses far less water than all of my neighbors, and I think it's a prettier yard. So it's what you can do in your own life. Like, be careful with your shopping habits. One shirt, if you're not careful on where you buy it from, consumes about 750 gallons of water by the time you produce all the cotton and everything else. And then you look at the carbon footprint to import shirts from Honduras or El Salvador or some other place. So support your local tailors, support your local industries. And what this will do is it will bring industries back to the local level. And it'll make people, I'm asking people to be more well-rounded like my grandparents. If they wanted music, they had to get out the guitar and sing their own songs because they didn't have the gizmos that we have today with our iPhones and everything else where we can listen to music from all over.
It's also it's almost causing a bit of paralysis, right? This multi-option society that we're in, that everything is possible at the click of a button, and so many people are unhappy and not realizing that it's by this infinite amount of choice that we have for everything. Like, that you can eat tuna from Canada while you're in Germany or...
Well, it isn't so much that we have too much choices, it's that we're not well-rounded. People used to make their own clothes. They used to make their own furniture. They used to write their own music. And they grew their own crops. They tended to their own animals. And that's one of the things we have to go back to is where your local shopkeeper, your local farmer, and it's more community-based. And as people become more well-rounded, I think their lives will have more purpose. I mean, in the United States, we have a lot of mental illness and a lot of depression. And I think a lot of it's caused because people don't seem to have a sense of purpose. What's their life about? You can push a button and listen to music from anywhere you want instead of creating your own music. You want food, you have food choice on whether it's going to be Vietnamese, Thai, Indian, Italian, or whatever, instead of people learning to cook their own meals. So I'm asking all of you out there to just be well-rounded. Learn to write songs, learn to write poetry, read more, and turn off.
this podcast. It's like, go outside, go on a walk.
Well, this podcast is there for all of us to just be educated. Listen to podcasts and learn as much as you can about the environmental world. Study astronomy so that you understand just how precious life is here on this small planet. I mean, this is the only place that we know of in the whole universe where there's life.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that God created this planet with the incredible beauty that it has, and that we're supposed to be stewards of the earth. We're not supposed to destroy it. We're supposed to be the caretakers and basically manage it well. Because we do that, the planet has every single thing any of us could possibly need to survive and to prosper. And that's our message, is let's all work together, not only to clean up the planet, but to help each other. And I think there are certainly more of us than there are of the people who choose violence. Violence is really the exception. It's not the rule. Most of the days we go to the store, we see people walking to and from, people are going to school, people are going to work. Violence is an extraordinary event, and it's not necessary. There's really no reason to have any kind of violence, any kind of war, anything like that. because there's more than enough resources for all of us. So we need to overcome all of the ancient hatreds that have been taught. We can unteach them.
Danny, where are you well-rounded? You mentioned your own garden. Where else would you say you are well-rounded?
Well, I like to write books, and I've written several books. Our latest one is called This Will Work, Creating a Global High Seas Marine Preserve to Save the Ocean's Wildlife. And if you can't afford it, it's on Amazon, but if you can't afford it, it's free on our website. It's a PDF, so you just download the file. I try to be well-rounded. I love to cook, so I like to make dinner for my woman, and which works out for me because I cook and she cleans up after, so that works. I like to grow my own wine, so I have my grapevines in my front yard. So I know I'm really eccentric.
Have you always been this way?
Unfortunately, yes. I had a very curious mind when I was a child, because when I grew up in New Mexico, we didn't have a television. So when I first came to Utah and I saw these mushroom clouds on television, I thought, what are those? So I studied extensively about nuclear technology, and it's like, oh my gosh, we are building these explosives that can destroy entire cities. And so I studied extensively about history and economics, and I've always been a nerd, and I love to write, and I love to have my ideas out there. One of my books is Space and Ocean Exploration as the Alternative to World War III. I think if we redirect defense spending towards space and ocean exploration, then we will take the natural energy and aggression of humans away from the planet. We can mine the asteroid belt. We can send robots to Mars and to the moon and elsewhere.
Why do you think that is important? Why do you think space exploration is important? I mean, my view is when Artemis 2 launched, suddenly my WhatsApp started to light up. Everybody was sitting in front of their TV again, and they were excited about humanity and about our skills. But is that the only reason why it's important?
Space exploration has made it so that we have cell phones, laptop computers, even contact lenses, heart monitors. There's a whole host of spin-off technologies that came out of that are just absolutely wonderful for the planet. With space exploration, what it does is it makes us realize just how tiny and how precious our little planet is. I mean, figure this. You're in Berlin. I'm here in Salt Lake. My son's and my family's in Hawaii. I have friends in Barcelona, in Thailand, in Dubai. I was just communicating with a friend of mine in Dubai this morning. I mean, the planet is a small planet, and by studying about space exploration, we realize just how precious life on this planet really is. I mean, life here is special.
I want to play devil's advocate for 1 second, because I generally agree with everything you said. At the same time, right, this technology is also a result of the defense sector. Like the internet communication comes from the defense sector, and at the same time, it's all innovation, it's all progress. Can progress coexist with, let's call it, de-innovation, like going back to the more traditional ways of how we used to live?
Oh, absolutely. See, technological change is something that has happened so fast in the last 200 years, especially in the last 100, that our beliefs and our value systems are behind technological change. We have ancient rivalries with modern technology, so that makes it extremely dangerous. But not only can they coexist, it can also make life better. We can keep species from going extinct. We can preserve the forests and make them pristine. So absolutely, they're not incompatible, but we just have to be careful with technological change. Like AI that is now coming into fruition is going to displace a lot of workers. And whether we study Marx and the army of the unemployed, we're going to have millions of people that are going to have to either be retrained. Germany does a wonderful job with that, by the way.
Thank you. The first person to say that.
Your workers.
At least no German I know ever said that. But what do you mean?
Well, my understanding is that German workers are retrained on technology so that they keep up with it. And that's something that we're going to have to do all over the world. So technological change is to be embraced, but be carefully managed. We have to be careful with artificial intelligence because these robots, once these robots become self-aware, they might not find humans to be that useful.
Not if they see how we treat the planet. I want to talk about the fish quickly again, because you mentioned your connection to Hawaii, right? And the way that I experienced Hawaii is that they live, or at least it's deeply rooted in the native Hawaiian culture to live in sync with the ocean, with what surrounds them. If you talk with your Hawaiian friends about your plans, how do they think about it?
They are very, very receptive of this idea because they're more in tune with the environment and with the ocean than other cultures because it's an ocean culture. That's how they got, the Polynesians got to Hawaii. And it's a wonderful culture. I know the United States stole that nation and made it a U.S. State, but their value system of valuing the fisheries, and their respect for the whales and the sharks, and how they manage their resources. That is just something that we all can learn from. And that's one of the things all of us in the developed world have to do, is we have to reach out to the indigenous tribes and nations in the rainforest and all the rest. They've coexisted with nature for thousands of years. Now, granted, when they have a broken arm or they have a bad tooth or that, they don't have the modern technology that we have, but we can learn from them. We can learn of the different plants and the medicinal qualities of those plants and the different food sources that we can have out there. So we need to reach out and embrace the indigenous communities as part of the global community so that we can learn from those elders.
So it's basically about cutting certain aspects of life, keep what's good and pair that with what has been good all along.
Absolutely. Learn from it, share it, and move on. That's why that's how we're going to protect your 2-year-old.
Yeah, wonderful. Let's go. How does my life change if this moratorium is in place?
Well, the only difference that would happen is that people would eat the fish from their local communities. Most nations border the oceans. So nations should just basically fish in their own territorial waters and protect them. A 5-year moratorium, what it will do is it will bring more fish. It will increase the amount of fish that are in the oceans. It will increase the wildlife in the oceans. We'll see more walruses, more seals, more whales, definitely more sharks, because one thing that has to be banned immediately is all shark finning. When you destroy the top predator in the food chain, you destroy the entire food chain. So how will it affect people on the individual level? Their lives will be better. One of the things I have learned, and I'm 69 years old, is 5 years goes by in a real hurry.
That's true.
I used to think when a client of mine would be sentenced to 5 years in prison, it's like, oh my gosh, he's going to be put in prison for 5 years. Now I look at it, I could do a nickel. That's not that bad. So 5 years will go by in a hurry, and we need to use that 5-year moratorium.
And I mean, the obvious pushback will come from the industrial fishing industry, I would assume. Is there anyone else who is pushing back on your idea?
Well, we're looking at saving fishing. And with
the artisanal way of fishing, right? The original way that people fish in their own community, but there are industries that depend on going deep into the ocean to empty it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in the United States, there's about 5 major fishing corporations that are out there with their huge trawlers just destroying fisheries. Alaska used to have the best fisheries in the world. And now that it's been opened up to industrial commercial fishing, they're being destroyed. Um, China has 30,000 of these giant trawlers out there going all over the world, emptying the oceans. That just needs to stop. Uh, the blowback from the fishing industry, governments are going to have to subsidize those industries and pay them to not fish and pay them to convert to other industries. One of the simple things they could do is instead of these huge industrial trawlers, turn them into ecotourism, have them take people out into the ocean and see the beauty of the ocean, and have them go whale watching and go swimming in shark cages with the sharks and go snorkeling. Ecotourism is a good alternative to industrial commercial fishing because these people, the captains of these giant trawlers, they're used to going out into the oceans. Well, they can take passengers out there and they can do it in other ways. Basically, they're going to have to come off the oceans and governments are going to have to buy those trawlers. You can do in the U.S., it's called condemnation proceedings. You want to build a highway and the house is in the way. You condemn the house and you pay the owner for the house. Well, we can do that with these trawlers. Without government subsidies, these industrial trawlers are not economically viable. The only reason that they're able to go out in thousands of miles, hundreds of miles offshore, is because they get government subsidies. Well, keep the subsidies and keep paying those industries and pay them to not fish and pay them to convert to other technologies and to other areas.
Plus, I mean, the working conditions in some of these boats are horrendous. I've been on Indian fishing boats in the harbor itself, and these guys stay out at sea for 3-4 months at a time in a space without a toilet. It's inhumane. You can't imagine what the conditions on some of these boats are.
It's lawless. It's absolutely lawless. I mean, there's slavery out on the high seas, there's murder. And a lot of these workers, they're basically modern day slaves. They take them from their villages and they promise them all kinds of things. And then once they're out to sea, they're prisoners of those ships. The fact that a handful of nations choose not to obey international law doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just they're engaged in criminal activity, namely the wars that are going on today. There is simply no reason whatsoever to have a Russia-Ukraine war or an Israeli-Lebanon-Iran war. Those need to stop, and it needs to stop right now.
No, 100% agree. Danny, where can people find more information on your organization? Where can they go? How can they support you?
Well, the first thing I ask all of you to do is go on our website, savingoceans.org, like and share the website, and share it with all of your family and friends, and share the idea of a 5-year moratorium on industrial commercial fishing. If you want to make a donation, if you're going to buy yourself a beer, well, buy us a beer. Make a small donation to us. And as we get more money in, we will expand our law school internship program. I think our law school internship program is an idea that is far, far overdue. There's a lot of people that study oceanography and study environmental issues, and then they're wondering, well, okay, I have all this knowledge, but now what do? I don't have a job. And this is where governments can come in. Governments need to redirect defense spending towards space and ocean exploration. The more we explore the oceans, the more we learn about them. I mean, there's thousands of species that we haven't even identified, and we have to be careful. There's a move now to do seabed mining. That is just a really, really bad idea. We have to very carefully regulate how we harness the resources in the oceans, because if you go down thousands of feet and you disturb those ecosystems down there, they won't recover. They've taken millions of years to develop. Uh, Now, we can do seabed mining if we are really, really careful about it, but we can't do it like we did mining in the United States in the 1800s, where it was the wild, wild west, and you had mill tailings poisoning streams and all the rest, and having cyanide and pools of mercury that are just out there damaging the environment. The resources are there for all of us to use, but to use carefully. See, I'm not against harnessing the resources of the earth. It's just how we do it. You can do forestry, but you don't want to cut down every single tree.
And then plant exactly the same tree, one next to another.
Yeah,
monocultures.
Be careful with how you do it and look at alternatives to plastic like hemp. And I think this is where education will really come into the forefront, is as schools learn to create new industries and use this opportunity, this crisis, as an opportunity for change. Change the packaging laws. I mean, Amazon delivers packages all over the United States and for the most part, in many parts of the world. But look at the packaging that they do. 90% of all municipal solid waste is paper, plastic, metal, and glass. Okay, those can be recycled. So really change the manufacturing system so that we harness the resources that we've already used. You can mine the landfills and recover the metal and the plastics and reuse those instead of new production. But the fossil fuel industry in the United States plans to increase plastic production by 40% in this decade. And they know the damage they're doing to the environment. Well, you, the consumer, have the power. You don't have to buy these products. Ask yourself, do you really need this product? Mostly the shelf life of most products is after you buy them within 6 months, the product is in a landfill. Well, there's only so many landfills that you can have. Electronic waste is something that we really have got to pay attention to. There's electronic waste dumps in Ghana and in other developing countries. And that is just such a terrible, terrible habit, because
there's a fantastic documentary in it called Welcome to Sodom, which really goes deep into these e-waste landfills. And if you've seen this once, you're like, my God, what kind of monster did we create there? People burning plastics under the open sky to get to the copper. Like, they live and breathe in these toxic fumes. And if you walk over these landfills, it's like in a swamp. There's no solid ground. It feels like you're standing on jelly. It is absolute insanity, lawless space.
Well, one of the things we have to do is, if a company produces a product, they need to be responsible for that product through the entire life cycle of the product. For example, if you buy an iPhone, Apple Corporation should be responsible for it. Once the iPhone is no longer modern, you should be able to take it back to that store, and they should be required to deal with the end product, whether it's taking it apart and recovering all those materials. What's happened is industry has said, all right, you buy this product, you're responsible for it now. Well, that's great, but this will never biodegrade, because the thing about plastic is once you produce it, it's there forever. And that's something that needs to change. And that was a very carefully crafted campaign by the plastics industry to make it so that first it was convenience and then it was the myth of recycling. Well, there isn't recycling. I mean, when only 9% of plastic is recycled, what it's telling you is it's not being recycled. Okay, well then what happens to it? It turns into microplastic, and that microplastic gets into the DNA, into the brain cells, into literally everything. I mean, when we're finding microplastics on Mount Everest, that's telling us that this system of consumerism and materialism just doesn't work. So my advice to all of you is to buy less, shop less. And when you do go shopping, do really simple things like take your own bags to the grocery store so you don't have those plastic bags that are going to be around forever as part of the ecosystem.
And you'll be surprised how good that feels. If you
Well,
like looking at your account at the end of the year, at the end of the month, and see that there's money left.
well, economics is a really, really big factor in terms not only of the environment, but in also for personal freedom, because most people out there, you're an expense on a balance sheet. You're a worker. So the amount of money that you have available to you is limited by the amount of hours that you work. So you have to be really, really careful with your money. Now, the only reason there's billionaires is you give them your money. If you don't give billionaires your money, they're going to stop being billionaires. You don't have to buy that chocolate bar that's supporting this rich family. You don't have to shop at these huge stores that are supporting these really, really incredibly rich individuals. I'm not against wealth accumulation. The problem I have with the billionaire class is they are not responsible with their wealth. They could be doing so much more to clean up the rivers, to clean up the oceans. They could be involved at a much, much higher level with the environmental movement. And, when people start talking about the environment, immediately all kinds of political labels come up of, oh, leftist, liberal, crazy. And that's just not the case.
Yeah.
That's not what we are. Being an environmentalist does not mean that you're crazy or a leftist or a communist or anything like that. It just means you're in tune with nature and you believe that plants and animals are part of God's creation too.
And that it's also about your own personal health, right? You can't be healthy on an unhealthy planet. Like you can run 5 miles a day, eat vegan, whatever. And by now there's study that plants even take in nano and microplastic through the soil. So there's no escaping it. You breathe it, you drink it. It is everywhere.
And that's why we have to change it. That is exactly right. To have healthy people, you have to have a healthy planet, and you have to promote healthy habits. We have to promote that there's more to life than consuming. I'm not against people having the possessions that they have. If that's what they want, if somebody's stupid enough to build 100,000 square foot home, well, it provides jobs for carpenters, bricklayers, electricians, plumbers, cement finishers, roofers, and all the rest. At the end of the day, what did that couple that has a 100,000 square foot home have? Well, they have the headache of having to clean a 100,000 square foot home, security, and obviously your property taxes are going to be astronomical. The better thing to do is buy what you need what you have, and enjoy the day, each day that God gives you by doing things that do not involve shopping. Go for a walk in nature, go bird watching,
Great
go
documentary,
fishing.
The Listers, or just Listers on YouTube. 2-hour documentary on bird watching, incredibly hilarious, well produced.
Oh, I love to go bird watching. We have a shortage of birds here in Utah this year because of avian flu. I built this really nice birdhouse, and the birds haven't come back yet. So those are the things you can do. Build your own birdhouses, build your own furniture.
Don't mow the lawn, like build micro mountains.
Kill your lawn and build a garden. I think you're going to enjoy a garden a lot more than you will a lawn.
Absolutely. Danny, thank you so much for all the work you do, for the grassroots work, for your time spent on these topics. Godspeed to you. And I hope at some point we'll read the headline 5-year moratorium imposed. That would be
No, you're not going to get rid of me. You and I have been friends for a long time. I encourage all of you out there to go to our website, savingoceans.org, and thank you for this opportunity to serve and to hopefully educate all of you out there. Our website has a tremendous amount of resources. Like it and share it, and if you feel generous, obviously you can donate to us, and also donate to Clean Hub, to this wonderful organization, and support your local environmentalist. And all of you have an absolutely wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube and our Instagram.
Where the ocean meets.